What if the most consequential technology deal of our time isn't happening in secret but hiding in plain sight, right at the intersection of American innovation and geopolitical tension? According to a U.S. government official, Nvidia has begun shipping its powerful H200 artificial intelligence chips to China, and that revelation is sending shockwaves through Washington, Silicon Valley, and Beijing simultaneously. This isn't just a business transaction. This is a flashpoint in the global AI arms race, and the implications are far deeper than a shipping manifest might suggest. Let's start with what we actually know. The H200 is not your average piece of hardware. It represents one of the most advanced AI accelerator chips on the market, a significant leap beyond its predecessor, the H100. These chips are the backbone of large-scale AI model training, the kind of computing muscle needed to build systems comparable to GPT-4, Gemini, and beyond. The fact that these chips are now reportedly making their way into China raises immediate and urgent questions about export controls, national security, and the very architecture of America's technology strategy. Now, here's where it gets complicated. The United States has spent the better part of 2 years constructing an elaborate framework of export restrictions specifically designed to prevent China from accessing cutting-edge semiconductor technology. The Biden administration's October 2023 chip rules were meant to be a tightening of the screws, a more comprehensive version of earlier restrictions that closed loopholes and created tiered access controls. The whole point was to keep chips like the H200 out of Chinese hands. So how did we get here? That question is absolutely central. Either the H200 chips being shipped fall within a specific licensing window or regulatory gray area that technically permits the transaction, or we are looking at a far more serious compliance and enforcement failure. If it's the former, it exposes a fundamental weakness in how export control thresholds are calculated, because chip manufacturers can sometimes design products that hover just below the restricted performance benchmarks. If it's the latter, then America's semiconductor export regime has a credibility problem that goes beyond Nvidia. It's also worth understanding Nvidia's position in all of this. China represents one of the company's most significant markets. Before export restrictions began tightening in 2022, China accounted for roughly a quarter of Nvidia's data center revenue. The company has already navigated these waters before, creating modified versions of chips like the A800 and H800 specifically tailored to comply with U.S. regulations while still serving Chinese customers. The H200's appearance in this story suggests either a new compliant variant is being shipped, or the regulatory landscape has a gap that the market has quietly exploited. The broader strategic picture is what should truly command our attention. China's ambitions in artificial intelligence are not abstract, they are codified in national policy, funded by the state, and pursued with extraordinary urgency. Access to high-performance AI chips accelerates everything: military applications, surveillance infrastructure, autonomous systems, and the race to achieve artificial general intelligence. Every chip that crosses that border is not just a sale, it is potentially a capability transferred. And on the American side, there's an uncomfortable paradox at work. The U.S. needs Nvidia to remain the dominant global force in AI hardware, financially strong, technologically ahead, and strategically indispensable. But that dominance was partly built on global sales, including China. Restrict too aggressively, and you push China to accelerate its own domestic chip development. Companies like Huawei's HiSilicon are already making notable strides. Restrict too loosely, and you hand a strategic competitor the very tools needed to challenge your supremacy. So the real question isn't just whether Nvidia shipped H200 chips to China. The real question is whether America's export control strategy is sophisticated enough, fast enough, and honest enough to keep pace with a technology revolution that waits for no policy document. Because in the AI era, the supply chain is the battlefield.